We'll call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everyone had a chance to look over the agenda?
Madam President, I move that we approve the agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? The agenda has been approved. Moving to presentation and approval of the minutes for August 16th, 2023.
Madam President, I mean, move we dispense with the presentation of the minutes and approving of the minutes.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting minutes for August 16th, 2023. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes for August 16th, 2023 have been approved. Limited. Limited public forum. The Board of Education welcomes public comments during the visitors portion of the school board meeting agenda. All comments must be related to a topic on the agenda for that particular meeting. The public comment section of the agenda will be the only time the board takes any questions or comments from the public unless we as a board choose to solicit more information from a person or a group attending the meeting on matters specific to the agenda. All public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The board reserves the right to cancel the public comment portion of the board meeting when necessary or appropriate. Any person making public comments shall be solely responsible for the content of those comments, and the board reserves the right to refuse to hear comments that do not fall within these parameters established by the board. The Board of Education will not comment upon, endorse, sanction, or act upon any comments made during the limited public forum section of the board meeting, except to inform a member of the public that their time has concluded. Is there any public comments? I'm gonna take my glasses off. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Maestas.
Madam President, members of the board, guests, I'd like to start my meeting off by informing everyone that the Public School Capital Outlay Council has awarded us $50,000 and $100,000 funding. We will be using the $50,000 because there's guidelines that you have to use them. It's mainly for security purposes and so forth. So we're gonna take the $50,000 and upgrade all our camera system, make sure the DVRs are top of the line, and then we're also gonna see how we can get cameras so that we can, as administrators, see them on our phones, plus give access to our camera system to the PD and the sheriff department so that they can monitor them from wherever they're at and so forth. That's for the $50,000. $100,000 is for CTE, for improvement of facilities. What we're looking at trying to do with that money is we're wanting to build a greenhouse, a pretty good sized greenhouse, so that our ag classes and science classes can use it to co-teach and get some, hopefully get to the point where we can grow our own vegetables so that we can provide for our cafeteria and so forth. So we're gonna be looking into getting that taken care of. I know that Mr. Doherty, I think it's in Dora where he's at, which is just as that, and they've already built a greenhouse, so we're using him as a go-to person to get us, to make sure we're like track on what it is that we're gonna get with the greenhouse with CMS lab. So there's drainage and everything else, and anything that comes with it. So, we talked to him, and he's, provided us some information on that. So that's $150,000 that, like I said, we received from the council. We did receive $100,000 last year, and I can't remember what we used that for, but that's what we're proposing to use that money for, this coming year. Moving on September 6th, I did attend the, quarterly RIC meeting in, Raton. One of the things that, was discussed there that I think is of interest to our school board is, the, approval of the Open Meetings Act, the document that we did back in October. In talking to, Mr. Gary, he does it every time we have our first meeting of the year. And so I asked, Mrs. Leal if maybe we should get that done, so that's even part of the, approval, for the Open Meetings Act. And I think that if we can try to get it in rotation for the next coming year, let's try to get it done every July. So it'll be the first meeting of the new year, and then it's in place the entire time. And it is something that needs to be done. We needed it for when we, asked for that, money for the, to do our fire panels. That was one of the things we asked for, and so we need to make sure we get it done on a yearly basis. So, that'll be in your packet for approval, and then hopefully we should be doing it, in July. Yesterday, I put on the 20th here, but yesterday I attended a meeting in Taos, and, when I got myself into, a bit of a mess. What it is that, the REC2 invited, the RECs from the northern part of New Mexico to this meeting. During this meeting, there was, a new association born. It's called ZIA, Superintendents Association. It is, for representation for, districts in the northern part of New Mexico. But there is a feeling that a lot of times, the southern districts are a lot more, very well represented, in the legislature and other places, and so we felt that there was a need to establish an association. I think back in the past, it used to be known as the Northern Network, but, we're not just including northern districts, there's other districts as far down as Santa Rosa that are interested in doing this. So, the new association, nominated their officers. We have Mr. Marvin McCauley from Mesa Vista as the president. I'm vice president, and then the new superintendent, Mr. Ron Shannon Navidad, is our, secretary and treasurer. And so we're up and running, and, I will be keeping you guys informed of any actions that go on with that. Our hope is that we get enough districts, when the Northern North was in place. They represented 27 districts of northern New Mexico State. And so our goal is to get as many as that, and so that we can also have a voice for the northern part of the state, at the legislature and any other place where we go. So we have a say-so in the New Mexico, administrators conference and so forth. So, that's what that was all about. Of the superintendents that were there, the only ones that weren't there from our northeast side was the ones who were there. Mr. Ellison from Springer, was planning to make it, so, he couldn't make it, but we had an actual Raton and someone and myself for our REC. And then we had Las Vegas REC, and then we had, on the other side, Region 2, which is like Chalma, Mesa Vista, Coronado, and all that. So I think we're off to a great start. It's like we agreed, we gotta get started to get it going, so.
Someone representing the small
Yes,
business, right?
and that's basically
great.
what it really is, because it's mostly the rural, school districts. We're not, Albuquerque, we're not Las Cruces and Santa Fe, so we have to have a voice in there, so. That's what we did. And then, moving on, I know that, Mr. Baker had asked me to do a little more research on the policies that are up for a second reading. So I did get a hold of Joe Guillen. He didn't as much to say what the changes were. What he basically said is that these changes are based on whatever amendments or laws were passed. And so you guys weren't the only ones asking questions. There was, I think, maybe three others or four others from our REC that asked similar questions about those particular ones. And this is the statement that he sent back. He says that subscribers to the New Mexico's School Board Association Policy Service, your district receives updated policy consideration and/or adoption when federal or state law or regulations are adopted or amended. Accordingly, we forwarded four policy advisories to you recently, which if you adopted, bringing the local policies up to the date with the action taken by the 2023 state legislature. Let me make it clear, school board policies are developed, adopted, and updated at the discretion of the local board. If the board does not agree with a particular policy update, you are not required to adopt it. Further, I don't believe anyone is monitoring these adoptions. He means that by the state, the PED. And if you are not comfortable with a particular update, you may want to delay or not act. On the other hand, here's where the catch is always there. You should keep in mind these policies reflect current law, and violation of law could result in adverse action to the district. So that's all I got, and that's a statement that he sent out to all the districts that were questioning it and so forth. And so, for whatever reason, these are either amendments or laws that were put into by the 2023 legislators. So, I don't know if that's suffice for what you need.
Good enough for me.
Well, and we do have this as an action item just for the second reading, so if we wanna discuss it, then we can.
So and it's always the same catch, with this is that, if for some reason we don't adopt policies and we're going against, state law or federal law, then we're running that jeopardy of NCA not insuring the district for any litigation that we have. That's all he gave me, so.
Well, these are just policy advisories, they're not, we just are basically just doing a consideration. I just don't understand why they put, I'll just talk about it later.
Okay, moving on down, little bit about transportation. I had, Mr. Hidalgo and I had to take, bus A1 to Amarillo last week, due to the air conditioning system. We got a message yesterday that it's ready to go, so we'll reach out to Amarillo to pick up that bus so that we have all three buses going. And with not having a transportation director, I've kind of taken the lead as best I can with, assigning and so forth. Priscilla and I do that, but what we're dealing with mostly is the shortage in substitute drivers. But, thank God for, Ms. Shirley Carter. She, communicates very well with her drivers. Her drivers are very willing to help out with whatever they can. So a lot of times, since we have coaches that have to leave early or whatever, we are able to combine some of the smaller buses, and one driver will take the other driver's kids and so forth, and we cover it that way. Once we get our transportation director in place, we will have somebody else that will serve as a backup for when we need substitute driver and so forth. But it is pretty time consuming, signing all these buses and so forth. You really don't know what you got till it's gone. And so, there's a new respect for Mr. Durbin and all that he did when he was here. And so, can't wait to get that filled again on October 1st. On to maintenance projects, facility master plan. I got an email from the young lady that's doing it. She's got all the floor plans ready to go and everything. It should be wrapped up hopefully within the next 2 weeks. It's taking a while, but we'll have a facility master plan for the next 5 years. We won't have to worry about that for that period. Update on the track. Most of you, Claudia and myself, walked it. Was it yesterday, Mrs. Mateo? And then you guys walked it the other day, along with our guests here, and they've poured one of the final steps. They poured it's like an asphalt, but it's not necessarily as hard as an asphalt. So we're waiting for it to cure. The guy I talked to, the foreman this morning, he's hoping that it'll be cured by Thursday, Friday, weather permitting. Once that's done, then they come in, they put in the top layer, which is that rubbery part of it. They put that in there and so forth, then they line it, and then they will, the lines of course have to be white, but the rest of the lettering is gonna be in orange. And on each side where you have when you walk into the stadium from both sides, in the middle, on the track itself, it's gonna have yellow jackets on both sides, it's gonna look really sharp. So I'm excited that, this is finally gonna get done. In the meantime, unfortunately, I did have to ask Coach, Garcia to practice the baseball field until we can get this done. I just wanna get it done before winter gets here, and then if there's any issues, that we can get it done. So the plan is that it will be done by our next home game, which is next Friday against Logan.
Yes.
So that's the dream. And then, just wanna update on the fire panels. They're moving along slowly, but there were some issues there between, Honeywell and, Fire Marshal. I think it was just a simple misunderstanding. I was getting back from Jessica of Honeywell that, supposedly the Fire Marshal was saying that we needed to have a main fire panel for each building that stands alone. And so, I had to call the fire marshal and talk to the guys in charge of it. And that wasn't the case. What he told me is that it's up to Honeywell to design the system. They can design it with 3 panels, 1 in each building, or they can design it with a panel in each, whatever they design, as long as their design can show that it can, support the new voice system, because it's gonna be a new voice system. The evacuation is not gonna be like a bell now. It's gonna be like a voice that comes on and tells you there's a fire drill, whatever. And as long as they can do that with whatever system they design, then, they can use enunciators instead of, whatever. If they can get it done that way, it's up to Honeywell to determine what it's going to be. Fire marshal said, we will let them know, we will approve whatever it is. Because there's nothing in code that says that they have to have a fire panel in each, self-standing building or whatever. It's, the engineers are the ones that determine that. So I received an email from her, requesting that if there's any possible way that we can, get, quotes for each individual site instead of all 3 of them together. So like that, it doesn't hold us up when it comes to getting everything done at Alvis, at junior high, and then high school. Because high school is the one that has all the standalone buildings, and so that one's gonna take a little bit longer to design. So,
Are they trying to change their quote to it?
no, they're not trying to change their quote, and that's where the misunderstanding was. If we go with, they were gonna go with the 3 main panels at each site, but for whatever reason, the idea was brought forward that they needed 8 panels, so they went from 3 panels to 8 panels. That's 5 extra, that's gonna be, the cost would be a lot more. And along with that, they were gonna need, we had put in there like 80-some devices in each one of the buildings, and they had come up with like 300. And so when I talked to the fire marshal, and I explained the situation of the layout of the school and so forth, he had a better understanding of it. So if like I say, if Honeywell can make it work with the 3 main panels and the enunciators and so forth, then it's gonna be right about where they said it was gonna be. But if there is a need for adding more panels, then it's gonna be an added cost. So what we're trying to work on is getting those engineers to design a system that will use the 3 panels, 1 in each of the main buildings, and then enunciators and get it done. So that's where we're at with those issues. Questions of me? If not, I will then turn it over to our administrators, and we'll go ahead and start with Mrs. Hyman to Dallas.
Madam President and school board members, the current enrollment for Alvis is 164 students, pre-K through 4th grade. Alvis took their beginning of year diagnostic test, and in reading, 28% are 2 or more grade levels below, 50% are 1 grade level below, and 22% are on or above grade level. In math, 34% was showing 2 or more grade levels below, 58% 1 grade level below, and 7% at 1 or above, are on or above grade level. I do want to let you know that these tests were taken the 2nd week of school. So the summer slump does happen. So, while I feel that they are not, while they do represent the beginning of the year, I feel that we'll see great gains by our middle of the year that we'll take in January. As per our 90-day plan, that you will see later on, Our goal is to have 80% or more of our population on or above grade level by the end of the year. And we had the same goal, last year, and missed it by like 2 or 3%. So we're gonna go again and hit it this time. One of the key factors that we have identified as being a major concern for the educational growth of our students is attendance. Some of the ways we are addressing that is that teachers are reaching out to parents more. They're opening up lines of communication so that the parents and teacher can then become a team to help support the students. Aldous has also implemented a new positive behavioral interventions and support system that the students have been very excited about. This is also called PBIS. We are using a system that's called PBIS Rewards that the students can earn points from any adult in the categories of respect, responsibility, safety, and then other as needed to be. They earn points by following expectations that have been set up school-wide in the classrooms, cafeterias, and hallways. Students can earn points as individuals or they can earn them as whole groups. So the whole class does something, they all earn a point. The students then get to spend their points in their classrooms with their teachers. The teachers each have individual stores set up with different free things and stuff. They also can spend them once a month in the big school store. Students can purchase physical rewards such as pencils, chips, Beanie Babies, things like that. But they also can choose non-physical things such as saying the Pledge of Allegiance during the morning announcements. I had 3 this last week that purchased that one. And they can sing for the whole class. And the biggest prizes this year right now, for 200 points, their teacher has to sit on a whoopee cushion. But for 500 points, I have to sit on the whoopee cushion in front of the whole school. So I do have some kids that are saving up their points for those. I do feel that we can already see a big difference in the building as a whole with using this universal expectation of reward system. We are seeing a lot more positive behaviors, and on my side, I'm seeing fewer office referrals. And just really quickly, so the system is actually the teachers can do it on their computers, but we also have an app that we can do. So say I see a student doing something good in the cafeteria, I can search for that student, or I can go to that class and I can find that student and I can reward that student immediately. So all of the adults in our building have this, and we actually are able to track who's giving out rewards the most. Mr. Wells is leading the pack. For the first month, he gave out over 2,000 points. So he is, and the behaviors in his class are seeing it. And Miss Levi wasn't far behind at like 1,900 and something. She almost hit the 2,000 mark. So it's been a really great thing. Aldous started their book blast for the 2nd year in a row this week. Students and their families sign them up and then send out emails or phone numbers requesting donations to help build their home libraries. Last year, we received enough donations that every student in our building received at least 2 new books to take home with them. How it works is that if a student sends out the request and receives donation, they can receive up to 10 grade appropriate books valued at $10 each. After that student has received their 10 books, any money that they received, that they raised over $100 goes into a pot that then is distributed equally among the rest of the students who might not have signed up. Each student is guaranteed at least 1 book. Last year, 55% of our students participated in the book blast. So I told the students, if 60% or more of the students' population participates, that I will take a pie to the face while they get to watch. So every day at kindergarten lunch, they talk to me about that and how excited they are for it. No. And I'm trying to find the one that's gonna hurt me the least to do it. So we will actually video that and put it on our Facebook page, so I will prepare. Last year I proposed an incentive to last year's 3rd and 4th grade students that if they received proficient or above on at least one of their NUMASA tests, our state assessment, that they would get to go on an incentive trip. I'm happy to say that 42% of last year's third and fourth grade graders earned their incentive trip. So we had 26 students who qualified. And so I'm gonna be working with the teachers to get their trip ready. And we have some big plans. It's a big trip. We're gonna go to Amarillo. I think we're gonna try to do that jump view and pizza. So I'm very excited, and I'm really hopeful that the kids that might not have earned it this year are like, oh my gosh, I really want that, and so they'll earn it for the next year.
Cool.
So do you have any questions for me?
I want to enroll in Elvis. I'm gonna go back there.
I feel like
To
we're
throw
doing
the
a lot
pie
of great
or-
things right now.
To throw the pie.
To throw the pie, yeah,
I'm going to go to Air U. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Funk?
Madam President and board members, our current enrollment is 126. We picked up a new student last week, so compared to the end of school last year, we're up 16 students in our building, which is really good. So, I'm also gonna go over some iReady results with you, and again, my students are older, 5th through 8th grade, so take that in consideration. I think there was some confusion last year when I talked to you guys about it, so I wanna kind of show you what I'm doing. The first number I'm gonna give you tonight is to the green. These students are on or above grade level. The second number I'm gonna give you is to the yellow, and it includes all of them in this area right here. Does that make sense? Okay, so 5th grade reading, we had 19% on grade level or above, 20% basically. For the class, we had 44% that were on or 1 grade below. So almost half the class is just 1 grade below. The 5th grade math, we had 22% on grade level or above, and 53% on or 1 grade below. Really proud of 6th grade in reading, 31% were on grade level or above. So, you know, you're looking at a third of the class, and then 48%, basically 50% were on or 1 grade below. 6th grade math, 17% were on grade level or above, but 67% were on or 1 grade below. So 2/3 of the class is in this area right here, not here. So I think that's good, to start the year. 7th grade reading, 25% are on grade level or above, and 46% on or 1 grade below. 7th grade math, 17% on grade level or above, and 34% on or 1 grade below. 8th graders, again, really proud of them. 31% of them were on grade level or above in reading. 66% were on or 1 grade below. So 2/3 of that class is in this area right here. Sorry, I've been sick today, so I'm struggling a little bit with it. And then 8th grade, I know. 8th grade math, 14% on grade level or above, and then 45% on or 1 grade below. So when you look at the numbers, we're anywhere from like 20 to 25% above, on or above, and 50 to 60% just 1 grade below or above. So not bad to start the year, you know. Again, we still have a few students that rush through it, and you can tell because they get flagged. And we had one student that finished the reading test in 17 minutes. It took some students 2 hours.
Right.
So, would have that been you guys, the 17?
You know, hey.
Thank you. So our 90-day plan, we talked with Mrs. Hyman, talked a little bit about it. You know, we are looking, emphasis on attendance. We still have parents that it's so easy to just keep them home, you know, after the COVID. It's just so easy to call and say, hey, I'm gonna keep so-and-so home today or whatever, and, you know, they don't have to really necessarily give us a reason, but that's the thing that we're trying to overcome. Our teachers have been in communication a lot better, also, like Mrs. Hyman said, we're communicating better this year, trying to be more transparent. We are turning in teacher logs Mr. Maestas has asked us to get parent contact logs from our teachers, and they're doing a pretty good job with that. Some of them use the app like Remind or some other things like that to communicate, and it's going really well. It's going much better than it was last year, for sure. So, volleyball and football are in swing. Our next volleyball game is September 28th at Logan. I do want to say that our little junior high A team is progressing really well. They beat the tar out of Des Moines last night, and they beat Guyman the other night, and Tooten Perry, and so they are playing pretty well. I think the combined scores last night in the two games were like 50-20. That's what we did last night. So yeah, they're learning how to serve, and Heather Berkshire's doing a good job with them. They're really doing a good job. And then our football team, we traveled to Fort Sumner this Friday. Football's a little different story. They're struggling a little bit. We just lack size and speed, and when you're playing 8-man, size and speed is a lot of things. Speed for sure, and of course one of our better players is out right now, and that really hurts. But when we played Elkhart the other night, we either got sacked for a 5-yard loss trying to hand off, or Braden Garcia would break a 70-yard touchdown, because that's 6 guys up in the box. In 8-man football, they had 2 corners or safeties, and 6 guys were coming after our quarterback. So we either got sacked or we broke a big run. That's what we did the other night. So, but they're doing a good job too. They work really hard. We're doing some new things this year at Kaiser Junior High. One thing that we're doing is we're rewarding our students with the Buzzworthy Student of the Week. And what they do is they get this certificate. They get a free ticket to any game of their choice. It could be volleyball, football, or basketball, when basketball rolls around. And then I give them some candy. They get a copy of this to take home, and then we put this up in the hall. So their names will be up in the hall all year long, if they're Buzzworthy or their Student of the Week. So that's a new program that we're starting. Then another new program we're starting is to start every day. I call them all out into the hall, Kaiser and junior high. We all come out in the hall. I do the announcements. I talk about what we're having for breakfast and lunch, so they can, decide whether they want to eat or not. We do announcements. We do our pledges to both flags. And then we've started doing a new creed this year, and it's called the Learner's Creed. And I want to read you the creed real quick that we do every day. So I say it at first, and then every student, Kaiser and junior high, repeat after me. So the creed goes: I love myself. I believe in myself. I believe in my ability to do my best at all times, each and every day. I will listen. I will read. I will write. I will do my best because I am intelligent. I cannot waste this day. I have too much to learn. I am the best. We are the best. We are Clayton. I love it. And I emphasize that last, little bit in big, boom, and they love it. Kaiser, they're so loud. They love it. So we come out in the hall and do that every morning, and I think it's been a big plus for us. And I also am seeing less discipline, like Mrs. Hyman said. I think trying to build a positive culture, doing some different things, doing the creed, doing some reward systems. I think students see that, and they do try to act a little bit more accordingly, with their behavior and stuff. So one other thing real quick, we are offering Algebra 1 to some 7th graders this year. And also, Mrs. Montoya, we are not teaching New Mexico history at the high school level anymore. It is in the 8th grade. So we have students that can come to high school with Algebra 1, New Mexico history, and history credit. And then so those 7th grade kids that are in Algebra 1 that could possibly take geometry next year and even get another credit. So we are raising the bar a little bit. So, and I apologize for my voice. I'm not emotional. I can't talk.
It's okay if you are.
Any questions?
Well, I think that's great that you moved New Mexico history down.
We do
Because
too.
that's where it used to be, and I think the kids are out to learn more about New Mexico history at that age, and they will. Because you'll remember a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for us in a lot of different ways. And it frees up another class for Mrs. Montoya to have here at the high school too.
Well, and they could take their dual credit course.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get them more high school credits so they can start doing more college bound stuff.
I love the creed too, man, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think it's amazing, when I say it, they repeat it, it's pretty
It's the
cool.
fire,
Yeah.
love it.
8:30 any morning, walk in there and you can come see it.
All right.
8:30.
Can we wear our barnyard?
You know, I was gonna say something about that.
Our chicken needs a little, he
I
needs
saw
some duct
that,
tape.
you
I got
guys.
another one.
Okay.
I wanna tell, Rick, you move pretty dang good still. I was,
Still.
you guys,
But
all
what
of you
about
guys,
the pig?
well, I know, all of you hooked up pretty well. I was pretty proud of the way you guys were running.
You walk by a building link.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. This has been school.
Madam President, and school board members, our enrollment's 119. So tomorrow, our juniors will be taking the ASVAB. And Saturday, the 23rd, is the senior class color run. If anybody wants to run and have stuff thrown at them, you can join that. And the senior class will have a dinner next Friday before the game. They're having smothered burritos, so I don't know if you guys saw that. Right? Smothered burritos. Did they have their choice of red and green? Nice, good Christmas? Okay. And then, so contact any senior for tickets for that. So, our beginning of the year data, we did do the iReady testing this year. It goes through 12th grade now. We didn't take it, our kids didn't take it very seriously. It was awful, it was ugly. And then whenever we went back and looked at it, 7 minutes to do a 2-hour test and stuff like that. So I got after the kids. So we're like 50% of our kids are like 2 grade levels below. So I did talk to some of the kids that didn't take it seriously and told them, well, then you can't be in a college class, because if you're reading on a 5th grade level, they're like, what? Well, I'll take it over. Well, yes, you will. A couple more times. So, I went ahead and rewarded the kids that were on grade level or above, and they got to build their own Sunday in the student lounge where everybody could see them. So, we better see huge growth in January whenever they do that. So, whenever they took a test that was like short answer, like vocabulary, so there was a part, where you just fill it 100% had it, but if it was a passage that they had to read. So, then our beginning of the year data and I have copies of this if you want to see them, you don't really want to. So, quarter 1, week 3 progress reports, 0% of our freshmen were failing the class. 0%. Thank you, Coach. 13% of our sophomores, 30% of our juniors, and 12% of our seniors. So right now, 85% of our students, so at the 3-week mark, 85% of the students were passing all of their classes. It's less, it's higher now, because we've started 0 period, and they have to go to the cafeteria, and they don't like that, and so then they get the work turned in, because most of it was just stuff they hadn't done. Not that they couldn't do it, they just hadn't turned it in. But, college classes, we have 12 students right now that are taking 1 dual credit class. We have 5 students that are taking 2 dual credit classes, and we have 2 students that are taking 3 dual credit classes. Right now, we have 2 sophomores that are taking college classes, and then the rest are juniors and seniors. So we're real happy about that, because if you're one of those juniors or seniors that are taking 9 credit hours a semester, you can be playing high school with, 20, 30 credit hours, which would save mom and dad a lot of money and save you a lot of classes that you don't have, those, English classes and history classes that you don't have to take in college, so.
And their parents, thank you.
Yes, thank you. So whenever we're looking at our 90-day plan, that's what, at the high school, it wants to go by graduation rate. So like last year, almost over 90% of our kids graduated from high school that were seniors last year, but that's not how the cohort works. How it works is who started as a freshman, who's dropped out, who's done this, and that's how you get those rates. So that's why you'll see on there what the, I only have data up to 2022 of actual graduation rate. So we will use our best data, we think right now, our leadership team thinks, is that performance data. How are they truly doing in the classroom? Because we know we can't rely on a reading test that they took 10 minutes to take. So hopefully this will be better data for us later on. So that's why we tied it back to the performance data again, that by December 19th, we're hoping that at least 80% of our kids at the first semester have passed every class. So we're gonna use performance data for that. Also, today I met with, so our MLSS, that's the multi-layer system of support, we have a coach now, that's Jeanette Walker. And so she did her learning walks with me today, and we went to classes, and then we came up with an action plan. We sat down and we aligned an action plan. I'll give you a copy of this if I've got copies if you want one. What our Clayton High School action plan was, and it's tied to the 90-day plan also, about how we're gonna get where we need to go. We're also, and it is also aligned to good teaching. So our teachers' PDPs were 3C, engaging students in learning. And so this is all built around that. How are we gonna get those students engaged in learning and what our action plan is? And some of these things will be done in a couple of weeks. Some of them we want done by the December 19th. So I've got copies of these if you want those. We have also been talking to Hannah. Hannah reached out to the REC, and they do have money to include the high school in the PBIS if we want to start that. So Hannah and Mrs. Doherty are gonna come down and do a training for us. We've tried PBS with tickets and stuff like that, and then I don't know if you heard, then we have kids buying tickets off of Amazon. This is the thing.
What is PBS? Sorry.
Yeah. ticket
PBIS.
buying. Oh, positive behavior interventions and supports like they're doing at the elementary school. We have not started it, but we're working towards that, and Hannah's gonna train my teachers. Because I think our students might really, because they're just big kids, right? They like to be rewarded, and hopefully that we'll get that going by the next 9 weeks. And our buzz is going well. Terry Martin was impressed with the buzz. The second one just came out, and he's going to publish some of those articles in the newspaper, some of the buzz. And Mr. Doherty has worked with the buzz class, and he's made them their own web page within our web page, to where they can have all of that stuff. So that's gonna be really neat. So that's what's going on at the high school part. Athletics. So our volleyball, JV and varsity will play in Cimarron tomorrow. And then Friday, the football team will travel to Fort Sumner. That game starts at 7. The 29th, the football will be here against Logan, and that's remember, you can eat Southern enchiladas, red, green, or Christmas, with the senior class before the. Green?
Burritos.
Oh, burritos, not called enchiladas? It's kind of like an enchilada, but it's kind of rolled up.
Oh, I heard enchilada, I was like,
And then the 30th,
It's been a long day.
right, the 30th, the volleyball team will play in Mosquero at 5. And October 3rd, the volleyball team will be at Raton. And October 14th, the volleyball team will be at Tucumcari. October 6th is football in Melrose, so you can see that this Friday, we're starting our district play. And then October 13th, football here versus Tatum. So that's everything we have going on before our next board meeting. FFA has a lot of stuff going on. September 26th is Farm Safety Day, and we have several high school kids that work out there for Farm Safety Day. On September 27th, the FFA have a workshop for the middle school students about wanting them to join FFA. In October 4th, the FFA will tour the Clayton Ag Science Center with Mr. Barnes. So that's exciting. And then October 13th and 14th, Gabe Doherty will be going to professional development. He's going to Program of Activities and National Chapter Award training. So he can learn how to develop an action plan for getting more kids involved. And so, oh yeah, meat sales are going on right now. Anybody? Meat sales.
Rick's already taken care of it.
Meat sales. Thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna write that down. So I can put meat sales.
I have a question real fast.
Okay.
Does the iReady thing, okay, back to this thing, so like with the iReady though, do these kids, are they allowed to see like their own personal scores? So
Oh
they-
yeah.
So they know that they got like a 21.
Oh yeah. I had kids right then and there that were like, "Can I take it over?" I was like,
Wow.
Oh, the parents saw them too. They went home with the progress report.
That is crazy.
They went home with the progress report. So
If you've never taught high school, it's not so crazy. It's pretty
I mean, you had me. I'm sure it's not that crazy.
So we will incentivize the middle of the year, you know, like she was talking about, we'll make an incentive. And then for the end of the year growth, Jeanette Walker, who's our coach, our MLSS coach, sent me some ideas already, kind of like what she's talking about. You know, we do the football team or the youth supporters, we have a dunking tank. I mean, I will let every kid that grows by so much or about throw balls at that, dunk me in a dunking tank. You know, we'll come up with something.
I don't know whose it is, I just
You
remember
just-
the nice or anything found it.
Yeah, we just use it, yeah.
So, they're like, yeah, I was like, look.
So, you know, we'll come up with something to really incentivize that because they,
I'll sure
They
do
just
stand
did-
up.
I know.
Yeah, right.
okay, well, maybe Ray will volunteer.
I'll drown.
He'll drown. So we'll, yeah, we'll try to incentivize.
I'll put my
Because
chicken soup back on for you, I'll do it.
we needed something, you know, we needed a short cycle assessment. And then, so the ninth graders took it seriously because they've done it. They've been doing it. So then their eighth grade, you know, they can show growth from their eighth grade year to the ninth grade year because they've been doing it all these years, so. Hopefully we'll make it where they'll get used to doing it and they'll wanna do their best, is the
That's a
truth.
tough battle.
It is.
It is.
So I have one question.
Okay.
Since you've got Terry Martin's attention, is there any chance that the Union County leader would bring back a Jacket Journal or the Buzz or whatever and
Well-
publish it weekly?
So, back in the day, whenever they had the Jacket Journal, it's like tens of thousands of dollars the school paid at that time to have that. So it would be something that we would have to pay. We did talk about that the other day, about what that price would be. So that's why,
Might sell more papers.
right,
Just saying.
but that would be our cost, the
I
school's
know.
cost. So,
Oh, really?
where would that money come from? Title lady? Maybe.
Well, if he wants to publish stuff,
And maybe not every week, but like once a month or something.
what if you charged him to take Buzz
Stick it
stuff?
around. We'll solve
Well,
it.
and you know, we found some old law abuse buzzes. And so the new the Buzz is going to be actually putting in some of those articles from the law abuse book. We found one from 1964 the other day. None of you all read.
We weren't even born.
That was right. So, whatever, you know, now people, I mean, Roy Kimball was in there and Lane Christ was in there. There was, you know, some really cool stuff, so. So the Buzz is doing some really cool things and they are working with Terry Martin and maybe we can get something worked out.
I think he'll print whatever you send him, because he doesn't have a reporter, and so in the last years that I would, like report on a basketball game, it would get put in there. And you can email him your story and he will proofread it and put it in there, because he's just looking for content to put in the newspaper. And so.
It's a dangerous place.
Well, the door is open, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions? Meat sales.
Are there any online students?
We have, 5 of the high school, 5 online students.
Is it through like CCC or Excellence or?
No, it's through, we call it REVA, the Rabbit Ear Virtual Academy. So they're Clayton High School students, but they're online. But they can actually be in REVA at any grade level. If that's something you wanted to do.
We haven't
Encourage that.
I bet not.
Yeah.
but we have, that first year after COVID, we had like 3 or 4 that did it.
Yeah, we had 6 at the junior high classroom level that first year after, but we don't have any yet.
We don't have any now.
All right, any more questions for?
Can I add just one thing? So Claudia said that kids are kids all the way through. Well, staff members are, Claudia has this famous saying, she says, if you give one of them a dead skunk, you gotta give all of them a dead skunk, right? So for the past year, I've been walking around with the dead skunk pinned onto my pocket or whatever it is, and Claudia's got hers right now on. And so everybody would give me stress on why I had that beautiful little badge and everybody else had this other one. So we had to tell them that they had to go take their picture. You would not believe how many staff members are taking pictures now. Now, they're after me because they don't have the little, clip like I do. I took it from another training I did. So,
And
Has to
two,
be found one.
you can get all kinds of
I found a
discounts,
box of
like
them.
take it with you to Academy or all these places, or like AT&T, you send it into AT&T.
so that was a highlight of my day, is watching all these staff members actually all go take a picture of that little badge.
And then the kids, the high school kids all got
Yeah.
an ID card. And that'll even work at the DMV. Has a picture.
At no cost to us.
At no cost to us or to the child.
They right to them
They
there.
got it right there.
Cool.
One thing that you all left out is we're over 400 students.
Mhm.
Nice. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Very
you.
much.
Yes, it is. Great job.
Moving to board communications, I asked Mr. Clint Scherr, right?
Yep.
Sure. To come to our meeting and let us know just about NextEra. He did a great job at the joint, committee meeting last week, of just letting us know like what NextEra is, what their plans are, so.
What, can't believe
It's
it
all
was only a week ago. Yeah, I'm Clint, I think I met pretty much everybody in here. I'm a developer with NextEra, so we do everything from nuclear, natural gas, to solar and wind, green hydrogen, really any type of renewable projects out there. We're nationwide, it's a pretty large company. This area, as you guys all can feel the moment you leave doors here, has decent amount of wind resource, and so it has brought our company in here to start studying the area and look to build a project. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice as well. So, I mean, basically right now, I mean, we're really just meeting with all of the stakeholder groups, joint com, like you were saying, and the chamber. I mean, really just, what we want to do is understand how best to support this area during these years while we're gearing up for the construction phase of the project. There's a lot of things that, our experience with these things brings to the table. We want to be good partners of yours. I mean, we're looking to be long-term partners of this area. And so we do find that it's very important for us to step in early and just kind of start opening your minds up to some of the possibilities of things to come in the event that this project does come into construction phase and beyond. So as we talked during joint com, and just to kind of go over a few things for us, once we enter into a construction phase, you'd be looking at a potential 1,000 extra people, construction workers, potentially families, kids entering schools. I think you guys probably experienced some of that like you did during the Oxy, the build of the Oxy, and Ray, I know you're telling me, elevated classroom attendance there during that time. So something similar, and really what we're trying to do is just take a holistic view from all the different groups to see what list of things you guys have that you value as needs for support. Want to be very clear, I mean, we try to, especially me, I really have to try to make sure I mention, I mean, we're not over-promising, we're not promising that everything on this list is gonna get done, but we need to compile as much of the asks as we can, and when I say that, it's like, think big picture, think big support, you know, things that we can really digest, things that, you know, we can pull into a list of all of these groups, and we can look at it with everybody. We're not coming in as a company just saying, well, this sounds more important than that, because it really depends on what you guys value as the important needs here. And so, we're talking years. There are years here, prep time. You know, and like I said, I mean, we're just right now kind of compiling the research part of that with you guys. We really like being involved in the areas, and especially, like I said, during this time where we have years prior to a construction phase, you know, this is really the important time to start kind of looking at these things. You don't want to get caught when 1,000 new people move in here and we haven't taken any considerations to emergency services, to school, you know, support for the schools, teachers, you know, and every other secondary, tertiary, and however many other steps you want to go. There's a lot of things that come beyond just like, there's people moving in. And, you know, so we really just, like I said, we want to be partners with you guys. We want to hear all these things from you guys and then look at it together collectively and see how we're going to start attacking some of these support structures. So that's the short, quick version. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for taking me around the schools and stuff. Really appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to really doing some good work here. So,
Thank you for coming.
any
You
questions?
flew here from Florida to come to our board meeting.
Yeah, it's
I
been a long
didn't know
day.
that when I asked you, you should have told me, well, I have to fly.
Yeah.
Now I feel so bad.
Flying in part was the, now it's the flying out, you know, still got to drive the spring.
Yes.
No, I mean, you know, this is a very, very worthwhile trip. I mean, I really appreciate it, and, you know, it's something I really take to heart myself, having kids myself, my wife's a teacher, you know, so I mean, I get it, and the youth is everything. I mean, while we're sitting here trying to build a project for the future of infrastructure for America, I mean, we have to keep in mind the future of the area, which is your youth here. And so we don't want to leave them out of the equation. We value them above all. So,
Is your company kind of a long-term outlook, or is it short-term, once you get the building done, you're gone?
no, there'll be full-time jobs for the.
But what I'm talking about is you're talking about bringing in 1,000 people.
Yeah, so that would be during the construction phase. Yeah.
They're gone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's an important point, and we brought that up pretty heavily in joint con a little bit. That meeting is a little bit more geared towards that, but yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot of looking back to the Oxy project time and kind of really taking, really trying to understand, like, you saw the boom, but remember that there's a absolute drop off, because the moment that last whatever piece of infrastructure goes up, they're gone, off to the next one or whatever. You know, so things like housing, things like restaurants, things like, you know, keep in mind, it's not a permanent influx of people, so I wouldn't personally go crazy building permanent structures to house them, you know, things like that. I mean, I think you guys have a unique situation here where you can kind of leverage some of your experience from the Oxy project and really take that to use your benefit, you know. But this is after they leave, what the project produces, and as far as tax revenues and things like that for the remainder of the project, that stays.
So how many people would you assume would come in after the building phase is over and would be here on a permanent basis?
Well, we would hope to use local people. for any permanent, full-time jobs.
So what are you talking about?
For this, I could see anywhere, and again, don't quote me on it, but I could see anywhere from 20 to 50. It's a lot of things these days can be, kind of remotely, operated stuff as well, remotely, supervised and things, so, but there will still be a constant need for local work, but not 1,000 people.
Something I asked him was maybe like to check to see if there would be any kind of apprentice program for some of our students, who might be those workers who stay here,
Right.
because a lot of them stay here and they just look for a job and not a career, so.
Right.
um,
Yeah, we do a lot of programs and, we're heavily involved in schools in all of our project areas.
We kind of have a long-term support system that sticks around for that aspect, particularly for the schools.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of revenue, tax revenue stuff generated for the entire
We've heard
project.
that before.
Yeah, right, true. Yeah, I don't have a magic wall.
We're
but-
supposed to have paved roads in the city
Oh,
for
that'd be
gold.
nice.
So,
Same kind of messaging. We've done a lot of these, a lot. And, so while we're leveraging our experience with that and just doing everything we can to get the project made, we wanna partner up with you guys and use your leverage on, use your experience with the Oxy things. And, so that's what I mean by this being kind of a unique situation. This isn't the first time you guys have gone through this. And so that's a plus and a minus, right? Because some people are gonna be a little bit more hesitant to get excited about something because it's all before, and, now you have a project that's kind of throttling down a little bit and, has some implications here locally. But, these projects are, they're long-term projects.
I also feel like though, that's a great thing to get started, getting our economy back up on its feet and stuff here. And it's not necessarily up to NextEra to keep that going. It is part of the local leadership.
Right.
To keep that going, so you get it started and people like what they're seeing and see what's coming in for Clayton. And it is up to Clayton to keep something good going. We can't just always rely on someone coming in to rescue us. It's like, how are we going to help save ourselves?
well, I'm more worried about the school district having to take this influx of students. And then when that drops off, what do we do?
But that's what I mean, it is up to.
At some point, the community leaders and stuff, yes.
Yes.
And it dearly affects our community, but I'm just more
But it's a
concerned
great
as a
thing.
school board member of what our school district would have to deal with.
Well, probably finding teachers, but if you have people coming in who their spouse is a teacher, and
Right.
know that you live here,
I
but.
think too, a lot of it, is kind of to be determined, just based on I can't say how many of these guys are gonna be bringing families in or not.
Yeah, probably.
And so, but at least you'll, and we'll be able to communicate more of timelines and stuff as we mature further on in the process. Right now, we're in heavy study phase, so, we do studies for any impacts of the areas for years prior to construction. We don't want to negatively impact any of your resources that you have here, or, anything that would impact the economy negatively.
Well, I just worry about a boomtown kind of aspect.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is once we start, as we're getting closer to that, we'll be able to communicate more timelines, how many years of construction we'd be looking at. I get, I reference 4 years, so, we would have that, you would have that 4 years of kind of realizing who the new non-local students are and kind of, be able to use those years to kind of prepare for the.
Well, the revenue off of this field, that'll be one of the biggest in the US, right? Would be
Potentially.
an oil field.
Well, yeah, just like the
Megabus.
oil, the
Yeah.
schools get the money from the oil, we'll get the money from.
Yeah, from the tax revenue.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, there's there's a thousand things between now and then, just even in the realm of tax revenues and economic impact studies and, you know, what to do with the tax and how, you know, there's a lot of other conversations to be had. Conversations that are, you know, better with being as close to you guys as we are now, and you know, we'll really be able to help kind of look at that view for you, I think.
But as far as like a boomtown thing, it's like these are like long-term leases that are signed.
Right,
So
right, it would be a boomtown population.
Oil comes in and does these long-term deals, but their construction phase is what creates a boomtown.
Right.
And then they're gone.
Right.
And this is a similar situation, maybe not so much, but.
Yeah, the hope would be, you know, as we're gearing up, as the construction's going, and then after, as the area and the town is able to start building itself up again and, you know, kind of have more of that future, forecast of revenue, that may bring your extra people. That would be the hope, you know, and so those are some of the things, you know, we're looking mostly at like infrastructure, things that are gonna support like how this town actually runs, but we are looking at things too that bring people in and keep people in that, you know.
We had a vast number of trailer parks in this deal, during that AMCO deal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar with all that. And you guys may be trying to plan on using some of that infrastructure, but, that's what we could be looking at, you know, I mean, it's just like, those are gone now. I mean, the stuff's still there, but.
I think over the course of the next few years, prior to construction, you'll see a ramp up of those again. You know, I mean, there's a lot of smart people here, you know, and people that probably owned those things back then that are like,
Yeah.
oh, I remember this, you know, so.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of positives that are coming, and, you know, we just wanna express, we wanna be here with you guys, we wanna understand how to, you know, make this the best transition that we can. You know, the great thing about Clayton, and just in my short time here, is, you know, you guys are a very resilient town. I mean, you know, if you look at the history, and you guys do a lot for yourselves. So, you know, to Kim's point, I haven't really seen the whole like handout thing. I mean, that's what I see is mostly people here really working for themselves, and I think that's good. The influx of this will just help kind of complete all that work, so. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming over here.
Yes, I have a question, I don't know if you can answer this for me, but this is something that's just really stuck in my head from an educational standpoint, because, you know, if your workers, I'm assuming these workers can come nationwide, they might be coming from other projects or other places in the nation that would be coming here to work, and if they brought their families, and this is just my thoughts, okay? If a lot of times the workers, would we possibly be looking at, possibly some different nationalities or things, because, you know, non-English speaking, sometimes a lot of laborers have a tendency to speak other languages other than English. And that, for me, as an elementary, you know, if we have their students, making sure that we have a structure in place for those children to be comfortable and to learn, and stuff. Is that something that you can
You know,
speak
I
to?
don't know how or when I would be able to forecast that.
Has
It's
that
interesting, but
been,
you-
has that been something that you have maybe addressed with the schools in the past somewhere?
I haven't personally.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that it didn't happen behind me and I just
Right,
never
right.
heard. You know, no, I think it's very valid.
I mean, you're like, right now, I have a couple of ELL students, like one that he came in kindergarten and second grade, he's speaking English
Right.
now, and I have one Ukrainian student. But we have a influx
Yeah.
of a lot of different cultures and a lot of different, I just wanna, you know, be thinking ahead, because, you know, you're looking at,
Yeah, that could be a big impact, yeah.
Big
That's-
impact.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how or when I would be able to
But that's fine.
live work. It might be like kind of a similar thing where it's like,
Right.
you'll see day one of
Right.
that school year.
And we will
You
make
know?
the best of it,
Yeah,
but,
pull out Google Translate.
if you
and
ever
in the
come
meantime-
across any of that data, would you send that on to
For
Mr.
sure, yeah,
Mayor's?
for sure. Yeah,
I hope for
for
the
sure.
best, just, so,
Yeah.
we just wanna prepare the best that we
Definitely.
can.
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's good to know, and we appreciate your information, and especially traveling all this way.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have to be bored to stay the rest of our meeting.
Oh, it's fun. I'm sure it's
You
different.
don't have anything else to do, right? Okay, any other questions for Mr. Sherr?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. It's exciting, I think it's very exciting. There are those little gray areas that will be around,
Revenue.
but
Revenue is
exciting.
exciting for our school, for our kids.
Yes. Okay, moving to point B in board communications, post the fall regional board meeting, but we don't have to do that, right?
Well, we didn't show up to the last one, so they changed it on us, so it's gonna be enough
Well-
days.
I really feel like they should relook at those regions because we are so far from Santa Rosa. It's so far for them to travel to us and back that late at night. I wish that they would reconsider.
It's in Las Vegas.
Yes.
What about how so far we have to travel?
Well, that's what I mean. But now they're hosting it just in Las Vegas for the fall regional meeting. Do you know when that is by chance?
I haven't, I think I got an email, but I didn't really, let me get back to it.
Okay,
Let's show them what a road trip's all about, make them come up here.
right,
Try it
Well,
out.
we didn't go to Santa Rosa, so they changed it up on us.
Yep.
yeah. Well, I will tell you, last time we had it, Santa Rosa came, not that against them, I don't blame them, it's only, they came, they ate, they left. They didn't stay for the meeting. Kind of bad. Wagner was great, it was so great to go look at those schools and I didn't realize how cute Wagner is.
So we're region 3, right? Says October 16th.
October 16th, mark your calendars, we get like 2 credit hours for that. So if more than 3 of us, or 3 or more of us are gonna go, we need to know, what, 10 days before that? So we can post it, so, anyways,
How many days is it?
it's
Just
just
that
that
one.
afternoon, it takes a couple hours, and then you're back on the road. All right, moving to action items, consideration approval of the 90-day plans for school sites.
Madam President, members of
You wanna do financial reports first?
We gotta do
Did I
financial.
skip something?
Yes, you
Oh,
Oh,
can.
sorry, even my, I should put my glasses
It'll
on.
be fast.
Thank you. Moving to financial, Johnny's like, hello. Consideration approval of financial reports.
Madam President and members of the board, after reviewing the financials, do you have any questions for me?
Madam President, I move that we approve the financial report.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial report. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Financial reports have been approved. Consideration and approval of bars and transfers.
I have one bar, the Ed Fellows, that I need approved.
Madam President, I move that we approve the bar and transfer.
There are no transfers.
Bar.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bar. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The bar has been approved. Thank you, Ms. Matthews.
Thank you.
Action items, consideration and approval of the 90-day plans for school sites.
Madam President, members of the board, we don't have anything in writing for you. We were last minute trying to get everything approved and sent out, but I can have, she has some, I'm still working on Jeff, so I'll have them give you an idea of what's gonna be the 90-day plans for each one of the schools, and then we'll provide you hard copies.
When do they have to be approved by?
for another, for the next board meeting, so that's what we're trying to
So
do.
we can go over them, I think did you guys bring yours?
I didn't bring mine, but I went over it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the 90-day plan, so this is the first, so this takes us till December 19th. So by December 19th, we wanna make sure that 50% of our students are, so we use that benchmark data that I talked about at the, during my report. So, by December 19th, we want 50% of our students, to be on grade level or above, and 50% studying in that 1 year to almost on grade level. And then by the end of the year, we want 80% to be on grade level or above. So the ways that we are going to be doing that, let's see here. So, our data analysis narrative says, using beginning of the year iReady reading and math diagnostic testing, the data showed that 28% of students were 2 or more grade levels below, 50% 1 grade level below, and 22% on or above grade level. Staff will use PLCs and collaboration days to analyze data from the NMASA attendance rates and lesson plans to support student educational loss due to low attendance. All of these should support the improvement in iReady diagnostic testing. Some ways that we are going to be doing that is that we have what we call our progress indicators. So things that we want to do to help with getting our attendance up, which will get that instruction to the students more so that they can progress. So we had our back to school night on October 27th. We'll have our parent teacher conferences. We're gonna plan a district-wide PAC meeting on October 9th. The Alvis is planning to put together a parent game night. I have down here September 28th, but it might be closer to the first part of October. So we're gonna do a parent night, and it's gonna be a game night. November 14th, Alvis is going to do another parent night, and it's gonna be craft night. So we're planning on that. And then, by December 19th, we will also have those staff communication logs. So the different ways that we're going to address this is by continuing to do our SEL Character Strong curriculum that utilizes to build a social emotional learning. And this is done through daily announcement, weekly lessons in the classroom, and things like that. We also use our early releases on Fridays so that staff can have more informal communication with parents and guardians, one-on-one, speaking with them on the phone, different things like that. And then also utilizing our family nights and our PAC nights, parent-teacher conferences, to establish a collaborative relationship between parents and staff. So, any questions about Alvis's 90-day plan?
You said something about attendance.
So our attendance rate last year, we had, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I wanna say that we fell in that pretty close to like 26%, being that missed. So.
Is that kind of
That's high, they
contingency?
wanna, it's continued to be high since COVID. And trying to get to the root cause of it, I think it became so comfortable to be able to stay home that, every little sore throat, every little, oh, I got a headache, oh, my stomach hurts, parents keep their kids at home. So
But
do you want to really?
Do you find that a pattern through all the schools?
Yes.
So is there not, do we not have our student resource officer that goes and visits these homes?
So we don't have a student resource officer right at the moment. But we, so one of the things is our early release Fridays. If students miss 5 or more unexcused absences, they have to attend that Friday school to help, make up some of that missed instruction time. And then, transportation, parents have to provide transportation to come get them.
Is that Friday
So-
school, is it helping?
I haven't really had many in there. I've had a lot of illnesses at Alvis. Any of you that have Alvis kids, we've had a humdinger of a few weeks. We really haven't been seeing as many this year unexcused absences. Or just, oh, they don't feel well. They've been more serious about strep throat. Of course, many of you know we had hand, foot, and mouth. That took a toll, a lot of strep throat. So they, doctor's notes, lots of doctor's notes. So.
Insurance is the law, is why I'm saying, what I'm
Yes.
getting at, because it's not just, little Johnny has a little sore throat, it's,
So.
you have a doctor's note.
After 3 days, our policy says that after 3 days, they have to provide a doctor's note. But at the same time, I get a kid comes back on that 4th day, don't have a doctor's note, mom, dad, I'm not gonna turn them away at the door.
No.
So, I call the parents and I'm like, hey, I really need a doctor's note, oh, I didn't take him to the doctor. I don't have any, right now, what I can't see in policy is any really repercussions to that.
No.
Now, if I don't hear from a parent, I have called the police to go do welfare checks. When I don't, hear from a parent, or they've been consistently absent, and I know that kid's not sick. Parents, I've had kids not show up for school and then show up to athletic events. And I go talk to the parent, like, oh, I thought they were sick, I didn't see them today, it's a miracle. And it might not do a whole lot other than make the parent a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
You gotta do that.
How's that deal that you guys implemented at the first of the year to stay in touch with the parent?
so the communication logs and stuff, it's going really well. I have, logs, my teachers are calling or in communication with all of their parents at least once a week.
Is that in
Whether-
all the schools pretty much?
Yeah, our calling logs are pretty full.
Yeah, and so a lot of them are using that remind app because parents are working, they don't wanna answer a phone call right then. But the text messages, the emails, I'm trying to implement more, so during our parent night that we're gonna have, I want all the parents to, download our app, the Clayton app, so that, I send out push notifications and things like that, just to
Do
keep.
stuff. Text stuff is super.
I just thought that was well-founded, and I thought that would probably help you all a lot.
I think it has, because, short story that we had a kid that we didn't see for about 4 days, called mom, oh, grandma hasn't been taking you? No.
So that's what
So
worries me, is
then,
like an
he
abuse
showed up.
situation.
So,
One thing that we see at my level, and probably with some employee, that the Friday schools haven't necessarily kicked in yet, and they're going to this Friday, because after that 3rd week. But if you walk in our building at 7:45, our teachers are teaching in that 0 hour. Mr. Maestas, Adam, he probably has 15 kids in that room. I mean, they're teaching at 7:45, so. So.
Me too.
That's where we're seeing the big plus in my building, is that 0 hour, right now. Friday school will kick in, but.
and I think that PBIS has made a big difference in my building, because the kids don't wanna miss out on their points. Right now, they're doing about everything they can now. The newness might wear off, and we'll have to be a little bit more creative, but, right now, they wanna be there to get those points.
Bryce talks about it, him getting a blanket for his teddy bear or something.
Oh, yeah.
He's all
So,
fired up.
yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else ready?
Thank you.
Well, mine's very similar to Mrs. Cummings, we kind of just piggyback off each other. But, of course, my percentages are different based on our rating and stuff like that. But we're doing the same type things. We're only gonna have one parent night that we have scheduled on November the 8th. But, again, the back-to-school nights, parent-teacher conferences, PAC meetings, staff communication, all those things are what we're hitting at this year. So, but
Yeah, it is, and you guys know, I mean, people know how to play the game too. You know, miss one day a week, nothing happens.
Sadly.
But, that's what I'm saying, adults. But with our Friday school, you miss 5 for any reason, you're in Friday school. And that is happening in my building, Friday with one student. They've already missed 5 days of school.
But if they're saying that creed every day, it's getting in their head, so.
That's my goal. That's what I'm hoping, so that's why we do it every day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I was just thinking, I don't have a creed per se, but I do tell a lot of kids at school, make your mama proud. I say that a lot, because nobody wants mama to be mad. So we're gonna be working on our critical actions from our root causes. We're gonna be working on consistent access to strong instruction and teachers with consistent high expectations, because we have to make sure that they're using the fundamental 5. That's our Sean Kane, the 5 elements that make a really good lesson. And we have to make sure that they're using the Common Core state standards on grade level. So that's one of the things that we'll be working on too. My indicators will be, so 80% of students will be passing all classes by December 19th, 2023. PLCs, collaborative days, staff will use iReady data, attendance rate, and student performance data to support students in the classroom for the desired outcome of all students passing all classes. Our attendance has been very, very good. Very, very good. So, right now, kids are wanting to come to school. I have not used Friday school for attendance recuperation. I've only used it for discipline reasons, because they have chosen that as their consequence. So, well, my indicators will be every 3 weeks. Whenever those progress reports come out, we'll analyze that data with the leadership team. We'll look at those performance data. We'll look at the kids. Are they just not turning in assignments, or do they truly have a deficit that needs to be remediated? So that's what we will be doing Q1 and Q2, and the parent-teacher conferences. We also want to come up with some parent nights too. We talked about doing maybe even like bingo district-wide, something like that, like we used to do back in the day. So we want to get some parent nights.
Really nice prices.
Mhm.
No money involved?
Maybe. And then my teachers have been logging, and I was real excited when we went through the logs the other day. I have teachers that are calling for good things too. Not just the parents that are calling to say, you know, hey, they're missing assignments. You know, I really am proud to have your child in my class, or, you know, those kind of things. So I think those logs will be really, really nice.
You know, one other thing real quick about the attendance and things like that, we all know Clayton's changed over 20, 30 years. You know, every town does, but, you know, an example of that is we had a brother and sister not show up for 3 days. So make a phone call and get no answer. What had happened is they were removed from the home in the middle of the night and taken to another town. That's stuff you deal with.
And no one notifies the school.
No, because
It
the
can't
parents
be.
were in trouble and they didn't know. We eventually got records from Carlsbad. So, I mean, we deal with that. And that hurts attendance rates.
Thank you. Right.
Madam President, Chair, Board, I'll get all these printed out and I'll scan them and send it to you guys.
That's fine. I like it better just explaining it. Honestly, for myself.
With that, Madam President, I move that we approve the 90-day plan for the school site.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 90-day plan for all school sites. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 90-day plan for all school sites has been approved. Consideration and approval of the Open Meetings Act.
Madam President, I move that we approve the Open Meetings Act.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Open Meetings Act. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Open Meetings Act has been approved. And then we will move it to consideration and approval of amending policy G 2600, professional support staff, personal emergency religious leave to include 8 hours of PLG or personal leave granted.
Madam President, I'm asking that we add to this to policy. After doing some research, it is something that's allowable. The only thing I would ask is that we also add the language of how it should be used, that it should be used in 30-minute increments and no more than 2 hours at one time. So I ask for your approval on this policy.
And that is just to make sure that it doesn't go away.
And so that it's in writing.
It's in writing,
we know what
it's
it
there
is,
for
it's a
our
policy.
staff. Okay.
Madam President, I move that we do consideration and approval of amending policy G 2600, professional support staff, personal emergency religious leave to include 8 hours of PLG
With
with
the stipulation that it's gotta be in 30-minute intervals.
with the
and no more than
stipulation
2
has to
hours.
be in 30-minute increments, not excessing 2 hours. Right? Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve, the amendment of policy G 2600, professional support staff, personal emergency religious leave to include 8 hours of PLG, but to include 30-minute intervals not to exceed 2 hours. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So the amendment to policy G 2600 has been approved.
Thank you.
NMSBA Policy Service Advisories 233 to 237, August 2023, second reading. This is what he was telling us about in our superintendent report.
Madam President,
We don't have to do anything with it, but go ahead.
there's 5 separate policy advisories, and none of them have to do with, only 2 of them have to do with one specific thing, and the other 3 don't have anything to do with each other. And I wanna know why we're putting them in a block. That's my first question. And my second question is, on policy 233 and 234, have to do with non-discrimination. Our policy of non-discrimination is very well written and covers this, which I brought up earlier in a meeting before, and I have more concerns about these 2 specific policy advisories. It could, at some point, be used to not inform parents about the goings-on of their children, because it specifically states in the non-discrimination related to reproductive or gender-affirming health care that they are, no public body or person or entity shall discriminate against or interfere with the person's rights and abilities to access and provide reproductive, gender-affirming health care within a recognized medical standard care.
Yeah, it just keeps parents one out of the loop, in my opinion.
And so the reason I'm asking that we specifically approve these advisories in the separate 5 deals instead of all at one big lump is for that reason.
Do you know which policy it is that we have? Is it under section J in your students? Is that
On the,
about the privacy?
or
Is it-
non-discrimination
Yes.
policy?
Mhm.
I don't have it right with me right now.
So I think it would be helpful if we have that policy so that we can show that within our policy, we have,
So my question is, if we have already a non-discrimination policy that covers everything, why do you have to break it down into certain things?
What the state legislature did was adopt amendments to their already non-discrimination policy to cover these specific human rights aspects, which to me, it's redundant to just keep adding more and more stuff and singling out specific whatever of human behavior to be non-discriminated against, when we already covered that in our non-discrimination deal. And that's my hiccup with these two particular policy advisories.
I agree.
I'm just, I don't know, it's just, and when I further read into this, these two specific ones, it seems to be an attempt to take parental rights away, or anybody's rights away, from checking in on underage people. And I think we've got to be really careful in this day and age to not take any more parental rights away than has already been attempted.
I agree.
That's my point. So,
So can we approve them just, individually?
that's what I'm asking.
We don't, but this is just a second reading, we would do that at the next meeting.
I don't know.
So it's under policy A.
Well, it's already under action items to.
I'm just saying, if you guys, if you want to look at what we already have, it is under, policy A,
Is it section A?
section A, 0300 is, well, 0250, I guess is where it starts.
It's pretty long.
But it does pretty much cover practically everything you can think of non-discrimination, and I don't understand the intent of just sticking some specific group in on non-discrimination policies, for one thing. I mean, we're already covered there, so.
And it also cross-references, other, legal references and.
Yeah. But what the state legislature did on House Bill 7 was to put this amendment in here. And it's the new policy amended to comply with state amendments. So I don't know what to do with that, but I'm just, just making you all aware of that. This is the second reading, but do I need to make a motion to separate these different policy numbers?
At our next meeting,
At our next meeting?
Yeah.
Can I
The
make that at
third.
this meeting?
No,
Okay.
because it's just a reading, it's not even, we won't even take action on it, because we can't until
Right.
the third reading. So, then you could certainly do that,
Okay.
okay? Any other discussion on policy service advisories 233 to 237? But if you guys would please go and look at CMS's policy A250. And then it goes on, like 300,
Yeah.
yeah, there's quite a
It's
few.
quite a bit.
Right? All right, items suggested for future meetings.
That's what I.
Yes. Said she'd come to us.
Well, we can, we don't have to say that. You can let me know, okay,
Sorry,
that's okay,
never got it for sure.
that's fine, that's fine. If you will have anything, you can send it to me. Anything, except for the third reading.
And did you suggest the food coming up?
Can't go to sleep at night, oh, policy.
You're up.
Start reading it.
First paragraph, you're up.
Anyone else, next meeting?
break?
Not on the nineteenth.
There.
Oh, wait, no, it is fall break.
I think it is, because I'm moving.
It is.
It is, we have
It's
Easter,
not that,
Thanksgiving,
that day.
So that.
Is that really gonna affect us that much?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
We have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
So, are you,
You wanna move it?
what activities do we have like on Tuesday? This week,
Not any.
Monday, you're gonna be gone Tuesday?
Let's do it on Monday.
Monday the sixteenth, any activities?
Well, we have that, thing on.
We have a Zoom meeting.
That's that meeting in
Oh.
Las Vegas.
Well, could we move it to the next, ooh, I hate that.
What's wrong with the 18th?
Because then it's like turns it around. Eighteenth is fall break.
But we can't
Our
have
staff
a
is
meeting.
off.
Are they off? Can they come in?
Well, they're not, it's not part of their.
I won't be off.
I won't be off. I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
Oh, okay, then what is the problem?
I'm off. Jeff and I are off.
Oh, you're off.
I don't blame you, I'd probably wanna go too. Why don't we have it on Tuesday?
Oh, I thought you said, no, I'm not up.
I'm off. She's off. Cause she's got
Well, can you just have it,
But there's nothing on Tuesday.
can you just give your reports to someone else? Would that be okay?
If I'm in town, I'll come.
Is there nothing on Tuesday?
There's nothing on
And
Tuesday.
you're gonna be here,
No, but all y'all
Claudia.
would be here on Tuesday.
So if you guys are gonna be gone, could
Okay.
you give your reports to Claudia?
Well, we
Yes.
could have it on
Put it on
Tuesday, because we would have a majority of the board. That would solve it, the
Are you gonna be
17th.
gone?
You guys done doing it on
But
Tuesday?
he said, that will
Well, I have
work.
to check with my people.
You call your people. I've already called them.
I'm
Victoria's
fine.
the cool person.
I'm good anytime.
Okay, so can we move it to the 17th?
Victoria's just one person.
Will that work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
17th?
we just need to remember our publication.
The word out.
Okay, and then,
That's it.
yes, same time, same place,
Different day.
right, Tuesday the 17th. And if something happens, we'll be in communication. Okay,
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session.
it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session, which requires a roll call for NMSA 1978, section 1215 H2 pertaining to the discussion of limited personnel matter, quarterly superintendent evaluation.
That's what, aye.